The Abuja-Kaduna Expressway, the Buhari Area Council, and the Dawaki area, the recent theatres where the activities of non-state actors have been prevalent, especially in places like Mape, Pachin, Garam, Kuduro, and Ida. There are reports of civilians caught in the crossfire between the military and these criminal elements, and residents tell us their horror stories of being kidnapped and paying ransom to these kidnappers. This week in our focus on the FCT, we examine the security situation in Abuja since the Tinubu administration assumed office.
Security has been at the forefront of talking points next to the economy in the 1 year of the Bola Tinubu administration. Abuja has had its fair share of insecurity in the past 1 year, and this graph by security management firm Bacon Security highlights the major crimes they have noted in the past year. Kidnappings make up the highest percentage according to them, 165 victims in 2024 as against 148 in 2023, 182 kidnapped in the Buhari Area Council, and 20 killed in the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Rising insecurity in communities around the Federal Capital Territory have headlined the news in recent times as residents continue to report incidences of kidnappings and abductions. In January this year, we traveled to some of these communities that have been affected in the Buhari axis of the Abuja-Kaduna Highway, as well as the Gwagwalada area, where residents have been under the siege of kidnappers. Between December 2023 and January 2024, at least 33 people have been reportedly kidnapped from Zuma, Dutse, Kuduru, and Mape villages, all in the Federal Capital Territory. On Sunday, January 7, kidnappers invaded this estate in Dutse, in the Buhari Area Council. 9 people were abducted, including a mother and her 4 children, who were residents in this house, which is now deserted. Between October and December 2023, there were at least 13 recorded kidnappings involving 18 victims in Bao, Kuje, Peggy, Abaji, Keti, and Kwali.
Last year, December, my brothers, my cousin here in this village called Godna, were kidnapped. They kidnapped people from my brother's house, a pastor who owned a church here. And as a result of that, they demanded for 20 million naira as the negotiation was going on, and then we were able to raise about 10 million naira. But I didn't know what happened. They still killed our brothers. They killed 3 of them.
The growing insecurity made some residents protest along the Buhari-Kaduna Expressway last week. Some of these communities now rely on the services of local vigilante to secure their roads and villages. In March this year, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, in collaboration with the FCT police, embarked on the clearance of escape routes used by kidnappers in the nation's capital. Speaking at one of the sites at the Apo Resettlement Area of Abuja, the Secretary, Command and Control Center of the FCTA, Mr. Peter Olumuji, says the trees being cleared provide cover for kidnappers who escaped into Nasarawa State.
One of the cardinal objectives of the Honorable Minister FCT, Bryson Yesun Wike, is to prioritize the security and safety of every resident and also to secure their property. We've had incidences of kidnapping that have taken place here, and this particular place you see us felling the trees are the routes where the kidnappers normally take their victim through. And you know, the FCT Police Command in recent time have recorded a lot of successes by rescuing most of these kidnapped victims. And from what they've gathered so far, they realize that this particular route, if it's not taken care of, can still be a safe haven and escape route for the kidnappers. And that is why the FCT Police Command, like you've seen, they've deployed massively here in conjunction with the FCT administration to ensuring that these trees, which serves as safe haven for these kidnappers whenever they kidnap their victim, is removed. There will be better visibility of whatever is happening within the forest area here. And for you to also know that this particular route, when they kidnap their victim, it leads them to Wasa and also Karishi, and from there they can link into Nasarawa State. So you know that it's a very critical route that must be blocked, must be unplugged, and must be cleared.
As the FCT Police Command does its best to fight kidnappings in the nation's capital, there are other dimensions to the issues, and one of those dimensions is the lack of infrastructure in the area, especially the roads. This Apple Karishi Road was awarded in 2011, expected to provide an alternative route away from the gridlock normally experienced at the Maraba Nyanya Road. This 12-kilometer road is a commute for farmers moving their produce from communities like Wase, Daya, Takwushara, Kurudu, Orozo, Brom, and Karishi to the city center. Its present state not only makes the business impossible, but provides a route for criminals to patronize. It is that same dusty, untarred road that is seen here at Apo Resettlement. The residents call for help from the FCT administration.
We want to sincerely appeal that the FCT minister should come to our rescue based on this road and security. We've been having a lot of challenges. This road was repaired for some time. At a point, they got to a place, you can even see the gutters that were already raised. Everywhere was done. We're so hopeful that they will not come and pour quota and make the road habitable for us. But suddenly it was abandoned. And you know, we have little children around. Going to school is so difficult. And it's really constituting security challenge because we have a lot of problems here. We are begging the FCT minister to please, for the sake of God and the sake of these children we bring up here, to come and rescue us, to help us and see what can be done about this road.
Clearing those bush paths used by kidnappers in the area is a welcome development for the residents.
About a week ago, we have an encounter here that came and the intruders came and picked one of our residents, and that's why the trees have been cut. The CP visited here with his team, the anti-kidnapper team, and a host of other government, and the chairman of AMAC also visited here. So we had a meeting with them. They assured us that they're going to see if they can find a permanent solution from the intruders. Normally they come from behind the hills. So we are glad that this is being done today.
Meanwhile, members of the Abuja grassroots advocacy project are raising fresh concerns over rising insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory and are asking the federal government to act decisively. The group says residents in many communities bordering Kaduna, Niger, and Plateau State are living in constant fear as bandits and kidnappers hold sway. The group forced the Minister of Defense for allegedly watching as insecurity engulfs the nation's capital.
We can no longer sleep. Just this morning, they have kidnapped 7 people from, what's the name of this community? Jidna community. And this is just one of it. Within the last 2 weeks, we can talk about 20-something people that have been kidnapped, unchallenged, without even the repel attack, they cannot do. We want to say we are beginning to lose confidence in the Nigerian security because we have been pushed to the wall.
Back in Apo, one after the other, trees are taken down to remove anything that might serve as a cover for criminal elements in the area. Not an ultimate solution to the insecurity in the area, but a step in the right direction for the residents as they join other residents of the nation's capital to appeal to the FCT minister for help with infrastructure.
My guest on the program is a security expert, Mr. Kabiru Adamu. And he has some insight for us as to what has caused this insecurity in the FCT in the past year, what the FCT administration and FCT minister in particular should be focusing on, and the accountability mechanism necessary to ensure all tasked with keeping the FCT secure play their part. Mr. Kabiru Adamu, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
My pleasure. It's great to be back here again.
I know you have your graphics with you, so I know you're looking at them right now. But I think looking at these figures, one of the scariest things for me were the areas where the prevalence were. There are places where the prevalence of kidnapping is more, and then there are areas where the prevalence of killings as a result of kidnappings and more. Talk to us a little bit about how you came about these figures.
Okay, so I run a company called Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. In the intelligence unit, what we do is we gather security information, and we have categorizations of about 15 different occurrences. Abduction is one of them. Then attacks by either gunmen or sometimes armed robbers who would enter premises and kill, and several other incidents, including social upheaval, protests, and then in security force action and things like that. So we've done those 15 different categorizations. We use industry practice, and those industry practices are divided basically into two. What we call OSINT, open source intelligence, and then human intelligence. The OSINT is usually we use media, both conventional and social media, and then the human one is sources who know what happened. So we pick up something, let's say on X, that there is an incident in Buari, and then we ask ourselves in our team, who do we know in Buari? We reach out to that person. As long as the person is a credible source would be maybe a security personnel, traditional title holder, religious leader, or someone we just know who is credible, a professional. And then once the person confirms it, then we document it as part of our incident log.
Do you work with the police?
Of course, we do.
I know that when it comes to a lot of terrorism activities and all of those other things and banditry and things like that, I know that your company is very heavily involved. But let's focus on this right now. We're looking at a year since the Tinubu administration came in. Let's look at these figures. The kidnappings, very worrisome. You would think it would be robberies that would be, major on the list of crimes in the FCT, but it's actually kidnappings. Talk to us about that.
And I think what was even more disturbing is, so the figures show what we have in our database from May 2023 to the second week or third week of May 2024. And if you go through the bar charts, because what we did two things. We did bar charts, which would represented three things: the incidents themselves, then abductions, and then fatalities. Now, because we're talking about abduction, I'll restrict myself to them. Now, for abduction, what was even more worrisome was the spike that we saw between the month of November and December. And then from December up until February, that spike kind of maintained. But incidentally, from February, we saw a massive reduction. And so the question to ask is, what happened from February? And the simple thing that happened was the commissioner of police was changed.
Yes, I was just going to say, because that was when something velvet, Operation something velvet
was introduced.
Yeah, the IG actually introduced
Operation Velvet.
Yes, and then the ID of police was changed.
The commissioner of police
for the FCT was changed.
Exactly.
And he jumped on that bandwagon.
Exactly. So, and the impact was almost immediate. The spike, the reduction was quite phenomenal, from 73 incidents that recorded in January to 28 in February, and then to 14 in March to 2 actually, and then in April to 14th. So I mean, even a kid, if you're explaining this to, would know that whatever the measure is effective. But what is worrisome is that we're seeing a spike again.
Oh.
Yeah, in May, it has increased from that 14 to 49.
From 14 to 49?
Exactly.
This month?
No, the month of April. The figure as at now is actually 49. What it means is that at the end of the month, it could be higher than that 49. So there is a spike at the moment.
Does it include this Dawaki story that we're hearing about?
Yes, it includes the Dawaki story. Yeah.
What can be done?
So we actually, Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited wrote to the minister. We are living here in Abuja, and we have our assets here in Abuja, and anything that can affect Abuja worries us. So we wrote to him to advise him that the approach that we're seeing to security needs to be changed. Security is deployed in layers, and those layers involve about 6 components. If you just concentrate on 1 or 2, which is what we've seen, and leave the other 4 layers, then there will be this type of resurgence from time to time. Security is expensive, especially the type that we're using. When we deploy security forces, they go out for offensive operations. You have to maintain them. But that sustainability will never be there because we don't have enough money. So the strategy that we have, which we wrote to the minister, is a strategy that would get the buy-in of the people. Let the people own the security strategy. Let every resident of Abuja understand that he or she has a role to play in security. Because I'm in a public forum, I don't want to speak about the strategy, but we've written to the minister and we're waiting for his response actually.
When it comes to, the next 1 year, because everyone, of course, is looking at the Tinubu administration, and basically he's asking, since you came in, this is what's happened, this is what's happened. I know from the feelers we're getting, he's able to say, yes, I can take responsibility for everything that's going on. How would you assess security, maybe even nationwide, in the past year?
So to assess someone, you have to look at the person's quote-unquote scorecard. And fortunately, I'm in a position where I have been able to look at the scorecard. In the Renewed Hope agenda, there were 7 items that were indicated as the policy imperative for security. Now, those 7 items include, for instance, reforming the police, changing the military doctrine and philosophy, improving security in our communities, harmonizing the national identity management issues, and a couple of other things like that, including improving the relationship we have with our neighbors and things like that. So those, for me, that's what I would pick and ask myself, how much of that has been implemented in the 1 year that the president has been. Of course, there are other indices that we could look at, the rate of fatality rate, how many people have died, comparing it to, let's say, the last 1 year of the Buhari administration, and then, of course, abduction, comparing it to, again, the last 1 year of the Buhari administration. Now, for the indices, unfortunately, the prognosis is not exactly very good. There is not much difference in terms of the number of people that have died compared to the previous administration. Like I explained to you earlier on when we were speaking, in some months we see an improvement, in other months we see a reduction. Just to give you an example, last month in April, we recorded 1,087 deaths all over the country. The previous month before that, we recorded 800. And this month, we're in May, we're in it. At the moment, we're around 500. Before the end of the month, it could maybe remain at, with what happened in Plateau and in Zamfara, I'm almost certain it could reach that 1,000 again. So because the administration has not been able to involve the people in the security strategy, the same thing for FCT Abuja, that's why we're seeing the spike up and down. The major approach by the government is to use kinetic force. There is a lot of discussion around non-kinetic measures, but they remain at the level of discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabir Adam, for being with us on Dateline Abuja, and good luck with all the work that you do.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.